Welcome back to Quantum Conversations. My name is Sarah, and today my co-host Carrie Bennett and I are going to be making these complex topics of quantum biology and circadian biology understandable to the everyday person. Thank you so much for tuning in. We ask that if you are listening on audio only, that you take a moment to leave us up to a 5-star review. And if you're on YouTube, leave us a like, leave us a comment. It will help to get the show out to more people. And before we jump into today's topic, just a quick reminder to head down to the show notes and check out my free resources as well as Carrie's free resources. We also do have courses on a variety of topics. If you are hoping to dive deeper, Carrie and I both have practitioner courses available as well for anyone who wants to begin to bring these topics to their clients and help them to implement these strategies into their daily lives. So check those out. We also have a co-taught course called Quantum Fertility that is available that allows people and practitioners to work on their fertility using these principles of quantum biology and circadian biology. Again, thank you so much for listening or watching today's show, whichever one you are doing. And let's go ahead and jump into it now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Quantum Conversations. We just thought we would just chat today. We have been talking for the last half hour about the insanity of our lives kind of behind the screens. And I always feel like we come to the podcast with a topic that we're going to just break down. And today we're both kind of like, let's just talk.
Yeah, let's just talk. I mean, for me, this is an interesting time of year where I live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm feeling a lot of people feeling kind of an interesting energy. So funny that you and I both were like, you're like, I'm getting a dumpster. I'm like, I'm getting a dumpster. And there's this energy going on right now. I don't know, I can't quite pinpoint it, but I do know that this is the hardest time of year for most people.
For me, definitely. This was, before my quantum circadian lifestyle and fixing my diet. February was always my like deep depression, major weight gain, like everything would just kind of go to hell. The worst month of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hear it in my community too. I'm hearing people being like, this is what I'm feeling. And it's like, and so I just want to let people know, like, that's not unusual or uncommon. And also the light is right around the corner, right? I mean, we're going to get this opportunity to want to be outside more, to engage more with nature, to get stronger light on our skin. And so I hope that maybe this conversation could just be heck, I'm even sick of winter at this point in time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we had fake spring last week. That's what I call it, where it's like sunny and 70 and beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like laying out in my yard. It was amazing, but winter is back.
We're getting 6 to 8 inches of snow tonight, supposedly. Actually, for me, snow is better. At least it's something to go outside and play in, make a snowman, do something with it. But
here it's like the East Coast, gray, rainy, cold, ugly, just yuck. Like that's the February typically. Yeah.
And so do the best you can, people. It's like I don't think anyone is like thrilled this time of year, but just know that I think it's helpful because, people who are like, I was doing the circadian stuff and I was feeling good. And now I'm just kind of, it's like, I just think that is our body's desire to have spring, right? To be able to move outside, to all the things that we associate with spring, rebirth, better, stronger sunlight, nature returns, critters return. I think all of those are things that our body, at least my body, is deeply anticipating at this point, and it's just not there yet.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
What's your favorite self-care for times like this?
I'm so big into self-massage. I posted it in my stories last night and then I got a ton of responses about it. Oil pulling with coconut oil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I really have been enjoying that. I'll do 20 minutes of oil pulling and then I'll take a nice warm magnesium bath and I do castor oil lymphatic massage. So I'll just use castor oil and I'll rub it on under armpits, up around my neck, and then I'll do this while I'm oil pulling. I'll rub a little bit on the inside of my nose, inside of my ears, um, and it's on my feet, and it's
Nice.
just so soothing. I've been I've been using the Life Wave patches too, which I was super
Yeah.
skeptical about, but
We'll have to do, I just had a huge conversation about that with people from QVC. And
yeah,
so
Sarah told me about that.
it was
Yeah,
fun. I mean, Chad, I loved Sarah.
I do too.
And so, but yeah, I would say give me 3 months and then let's maybe have a conversation about that.
Yeah, I do want to talk about it. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, avoided them like the plague
Same.
because people, and then you get the same thing. People come
Mhm.
to your DMs, they email you. I'm
All the time.
every day, people want to do something of like, promote my brand, promote
Yes.
this, do that. I want to
Yes.
pay for advertising. And I had to even just like hire somebody to filter that. I was like, no.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
answer is probably no,
Yeah.
because I just don't want to do that. And I've been burned by MLMs before. And people,
Mhm.
they just want to take advantage of the fact that I have a big community.
Yes.
And again, being burned by these companies in the past and seeing that some of these things aren't good, I
Mhm.
just, I'm so cautious with things I talk about now. It has to work. I have to have been using it for a long time and see
Same.
like a benefit from it before I'm going to say, like, the Axiom hydrogen machine. That thing's freaking expensive, but
Yes.
I love mine.
I love mine too. I just
I
chatted
love
with
it.
Mateo last week on an IG live because it's
Oh
like
yeah.
I don't do that. Like I don't go on and promote, like, it's like you said, we're very cautious about that stuff. And I do.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
my Axiom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, really good quality stuff. But yeah, the patches are one where I tried them myself, but in some instances, I'm a hard person to test it on because I do. I mean, yes, I was complaining about like, it's February, blah, but I really feel great. Great. I'm blessed. I feel really great on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
And so I just bought a significant chunk of them and I'm going to give them out in, certain month chunks to various people. And just
Yeah.
I need to observe, right? I need to give them to
Yeah.
people who might have things that they're working on,
Mhm.
pain conditions, inflammatory conditions, you name it, and just kind of observe and see. The
Yeah.
they're fascinating. And
Yeah. They are really fascinating. The more I learn about them.
and the yeah.
I was skeptical. And Rob Jacobs, who
Oh
we did the
yeah.
quantum exercise program, he's ex strongman,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
ex athlete, and has just injured himself multiple times. Like, why you're picking up giant boulders and like big strongman competitions.
That will do
And
it.
so he had WhatsApped me, I want to say last spring. We were talking about deuterium, something random about deuterium. And then we started talking about pain, and he's like, "What do you think about these Life Wave patches?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a freaking scam," because people have been in my DMs trying to
Yeah.
that and the Healy device, which I just don't really resonate with that one. Which I don't want to offend
Mhm.
anybody if that's their income, but um, that one didn't resonate with me. I just didn't. Yeah, but I was like, it's a scam. I don't know. And he's like, I'm trying them right now, and I don't want them to work.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah. So
because of
he's
the
putting his
thing.
own nocebo effect on.
He's like, I don't want these things to work. And this was about, yeah, it was like last spring. And so November, Thanksgiving, and I've just had a lot of stress. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't talk about half the crap that goes on behind the screen because I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it because people will probably, it just is like, I got a
Well,
lot.
even well-intentioned people will try to
Well-intentioned
offer you
people,
advice.
the unsolicited advice is annoying. I know it comes from a place of love. I know it comes from a place of care, which is why I can't, this is why I'm like, I'm just not even going to share because people are, you hear somebody struggling, you hear somebody having a hard time, and your natural human inclination is to want to help or offer advice when they may
Beautiful.
not want any advice. They just want to
Correct.
share what's going on. So,
Correct.
so that's why I don't share all my personal life because I don't want the advice of, well, you haven't tried this. Well, how do you know that? How do you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I've just been stressed because I've had stuff going on. My daughter is a continual thing. Like, it's a
Mhm.
thing. Everyone's like, oh, the telepathy tapes. Oh, I'm like, you don't realize how complicated these children are to live with. I, I,
Right.
I
Yes,
love her.
that's a cool gift. That's
It's a
beautiful.
very cool gift, but these children are complicated as hell.
Right. Right.
Um, I love her. I would not trade her for the world. I'm
No.
so grateful for her, but it's a very complicated life. And so I get stressed. And so I was carrying my left trapezius muscle, and there's actually some PubMed studies on the left trapezius muscle and mental stress.
Mm.
Very interesting stuff. I didn't know that when I started having this, but my left trapezius muscle would just kind of like do this, and I couldn't even turn my head. And this was around Thanksgiving. And so I'm like, chiropractic, going to myofascial therapy, going to get this expensive laser treatment on my back because my sauna, my red light panel, nothing's touching this pain. Everything that I usually do is not working. So I texted Rob. I'm like, tell me about those patches. I'm desperate. And he's like, Sarah, they worked. He's like, they worked on me. I've been using them on clients. He's like, I even have a special protocol because he knows all the meridian system. So
Yeah.
he has protocols he's using with his athletes because he trains like high level performers. I'm like, give me your link. I'm going to sign up under you. Because I don't want to sign up under these other MLM people because they're pushy, and I don't want anyone pushing me to sell anything. Just like go away. Just like let me do it, and just don't tell me what to do, or be like, we're gonna have a marketing call. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to have it.
Just let me try it. Let me do my own thing.
Just leave me alone. And so I signed up under Rob, and I got them, and I know there's like specific places you're supposed to put them, but I literally just put the X39s on my left trap. Within an hour, the pain was gone. Like totally I'm like,
I know.
What? And so I'm a little dependent on them now, unfortunately, because I'll start to get the pain. I'm like, oh God, let's meditate, let's do the things, right? But then I put the patches on it, it's gone. So I'm wearing the patches like every day now at this point. Like I think I probably have, I still have mine on from last night. I forgot to take it off this morning. But yeah, I'm just like dang. So back to the original thing. That's part of my self-care that I'm doing right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's when I do. I want to explore more, and I'm working with some really interesting people on this. So I'm excited to kind of just explore it more through the lens of like quantum biology. Quantum biology. Yeah. But that being said, other self-care stuff for me, taking the time to just read a book, like a legit book, and could it be, I do love reading my sciencey books, right? So Sarah Pugh and I were on a call the other day, and she's like, well, I'm reading a kind of an obscure book called Stalking the Wild Pendulum. And I was like, Stalking the Wild Pendulum? That's my current book too right now, right? And so this is about the mechanics of consciousness. But it's one of those ones where like, just actually having a book and taking the time to just read a book for me. Yeah. And I think as a mom, it's like, oh, I don't have time to do that. I can't do that. I got to do X, Y, and Z. There's something that just feels so nourishing about that. I also love hot baths. So if I can read a book in the bath, it's like the best. Like the best.
I live in my bathtub. Once my kids are asleep, I'll stay in there like 2 hours some nights. Just like,
just feels good.
Don't talk to me.
And that's winter grounding.
Yes, exactly. I don't feel guilty about it. And it's grounding. Yeah.
And it's infrared energy, which is expanding the exclusion zone.
And you're soaking up magnesium. There, so I'm getting all of that. And
no, I think like that is phenomenal self-care. I know when I start to crave baths, it's because I haven't earthed and grounded enough. Yeah. This is another one as well that I get in my community, and so I want to kind of start to like sort this out. People are like, well, do I still need to be doing cold exposures? It's like, no. By this time in the winter,
I don't.
The cold has come, right? Like if you want to get cold, go outside a little bit, but you don't have to. Like now, from about January onward, my body's like heat. heat. Like, give me the warmth.
Sauna.
Right. The sauna, the hot baths, the hot showers, Kelly's red light therapy panels, which feel really great. Heck, even this thing from On Charge I was using this morning, Mark, because it has a heat associated with it. Yeah. I was opening up I was doing some lymphatic drainage this morning. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't mean, it's hard to say kind of like what our recommendations are for people with this, but it's like, if you're not feeling your best right now, it's okay.
And don't beat yourself up over it. Honestly,
you're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
That's the other part about it. It's like, what am I doing wrong? It's like, you're not.
Yeah.
It just could be that your body is desperately craving spring, and not just the climate, but the energy of spring.
Yeah.
Which, as we talked about earlier, New Year's resolution, that's not the start of the year. The start of the year energetically is spring, March, the rebirth, that new energy, fresh energy. So, I would say do the best you can to take care of yourself between now and when you can experience that kind of rebirthing energy. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily look like, oh gosh, I have to give myself a set protocol right now because I'm doing something wrong. It's just take care of yourself, tend to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And things can creep in, like habits can creep in, and it's okay. Like, it's not going to ruin everything. You can reset, you can get back on track. It doesn't have to be this big, massive, like what I would do every February that I can recall was just go into this deep depression, and then it's Valentine's Day. So I eat all the candy and then it just continues. And then I just like literally feel even worse.
Yeah.
And then March comes around and I have to do this massive detox. The master cleanse was one, like that 10-day lemonade, like pooping diet.
Cayenne pepper. Yeah. That's wild. Literally gallons of it.
Yeah. You just make, gross. Or the clean diet. I would do that. I just had so many that I would do. Juicing. But I don't think you need to be that extreme. And I don't think it's good for your body to be that extreme. What I might do is play around with doing a fast come March, like a water fast, honestly.
Yeah.
Because that's when I feel intuitively a little bit more of an urge to fast, more so than in the winter. Like winter, I'll do dinner skipping in the winter, but nothing over. I don't even do 24-hour fasts in the winter. Like,
I'll do it occasionally, but you're right. For me, the spring, there's this chunk of time where it's like less food, microgreens.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually even then start to crave like more greens juices even, which I know are something like my body never, I don't do a ton of it, but like I start to be like, oh, that does kind of actually sound refreshing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Easy on the digestion. That's TCM, that's Ayurveda. There's a long tradition of, there after the heaviness of the winter to go into the lightness of spring. And so there's nothing wrong if you want to do a cleanse or a detox or anything along those lines. But I think what I'm hearing you say, Sarah, is like, it almost used to be like a punishment. It's like, oh, look at how bad I was doing. And now I need to punish my body to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah. And that's what I see a lot of people that come to my leptin program or my nutrition program. They're just like, I've been so bad and I've just messed up so horribly. And I'm like, no,
let's talk to yourself differently. Please.
Yeah. Let's reframe this whole thing, because if you approach this work that way, this work is not going to be sustainable for you. And you're going to see it as more punishment. You're going to see it as more restriction. And then these things are not going to be sustainable for you. And that's the last thing that I want, it's tough to get people to change that mindset around health, because that's the messaging, but it's got to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Health is a consequence of doing things in loving support of your body, not out of punishment or fear. Right. And what I hear a lot is, oh, I heard so-and-so say this, I must be doing something wrong about this. Or I heard so-and-so say, and I get it, right? I get it. I did have this conversation as well with my community of like, well, I was listening to this podcast and so-and-so says this, or I listen to this. It's like, that's fine. I love it. I listen to podcasts. You listen to podcasts, right? We listen to podcasts.
I don't really anymore, to be honest.
I listen to less and less as well.
I can't. I'm just like, not interested. I mean,
Yeah. But
I do on occasion, like sometimes listen to the one that Max did about quantum biology with the doctor. I bought the book. I'm reading the book. What is his name? The Quantum Biology, the New Medicine.
Oh, I don't know if I've heard that one. Interesting.
Yeah, it was really good. It was
I like Dr. Sarah's podcasts.
Yeah, I like her podcast. Yeah.
But it's like, and the thing about this day and age, and are we harping on this too much? But we can get any information we would ever desire.
It's too much.
And we don't filter it through our experience. And so I think it was a Chuck Norris quote, I think, is like, listen to something, take what resonates, discard the rest. And so that's what I encourage people to do throughout, even with what we're saying. Right. Like, just discard what doesn't, just like find what you're like, oh, that's interesting. I've never thought about it that way before. But if it automatically invokes fear in you, it's not going to work. It's whatever it is. It might be actually an interesting idea, but if it automatically drives fear as opposed to curiosity or intrigue, you got to reframe how you filter how information comes to you and what you're true, because you will literally find someone on the planet saying the exact opposite of what we say. Exact opposite. And convincingly.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they say it with authority. And
or all research is, there's two sides to every research.
Research. You can find research on pretty much any point that you want to make, honestly.
Exactly.
And then you can spin it a specific way to prove your point. End of story. It just is that way. And social media is it's hard to sometimes be a creator because you have to get people's attention, but then you don't want to make them afraid, and it's like, you draw the line of like, no, I'm not going to talk that way to people. It's disrespectful, but that's what gets the views and the likes. And
totally.
There's people out there that will make you afraid of freaking carrots right now. That's
Oh, really?
I'm so
little on social media these days.
See, I'm still too much. I know I am still too much because it's like, that's where I get still a lot of community on Instagram and, a lot of building I do. And I'm trying to build the circadian app and get that page going. And so I do still sometimes spend way too much time on there. And then people send me stuff. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, now we're afraid of carrots?
What's bad with carrots?
Apparently they were like used to terminate pregnancies or something like that. They were, dude, I don't even know. I'll have to send you this reel that's gone viral and got all these people really upset. And then there's a backlash, of course, that's been stitched so many times because people are like, this is so stupid. Why? Like, why would you even? It's making people be afraid of the wrong things. Like, we still need to get on. There's so much infighting in the holistic health community. It's like, get on the same page, people. Like, we don't eat the crappy food. We don't go to McDonald's. Okay.
Check.
Check. We don't buy cereal like Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms for our children. We don't do that. Or if you do, I'm not judging anybody. I'm not doing that for my kids.
Right.
We
try to eat our version of nutrient dense whole foods, I think is in general the gist of things. Right.
And we've talked about that on other episodes, like how we do that and integrate it. But like, well, let's agree on these things. Let's agree.
Clean water. Can we agree on clean water?
Yes. Don't drink.
Although that's another one I feel that really confused my community.
My people are so confused about water still.
Because I love Dr. Borosh, but he drinks olive oil, right? And he can, because he's metabolically healthy enough to take that oil and convert it into water through his mitochondria.
In the mitochondria. Yes, correct.
The average human being cannot do that.
Can't do that. No.
And it's okay to drink water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Dr. Petra, who's on my podcast, was same. The fear of the water drinking. I'm like, incorrect.
I'm like, around the amount of non-native EMFs we have these days, good luck getting someone metabolically flexible having them just eat fats for that.
It's going to be really hard. It's going to be hard. Tough. We want to talk a little bit about why we both use more red light therapy in the winter really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, come summer, it is so easy for me to pop outside for 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, take the clothes off and just soak up the natural light, right? And I know you do, I know you do the same. And it's beautiful because we're getting all of those red and near infrared wavelengths from the sun and imparting all those healing benefits from sunlight. But come, November, December in Michigan, there's very little opportunity for me to do that. It's just too cold, and so I'll go outside and get my light signaling through my eyes, but my skin really, that infrared and red that I want to absorb through my skin is just lacking. And so that's why I would highly recommend, if you live in an environment like that, you consider using a red light therapy panel in the winter. It can be the biggest game changer.
Yeah. And we both love the Bon Charge Mini. This is super convenient. You can take it with you traveling. You guys don't know, when I'm recording the podcast, half the time I have it on my low back or somewhere in my body to mitigate some of this blue light. And for the months of November and December, you can use the code QuantumPod25 for November and December only to get 25% off the panel or anything on the Bon Charge website. Carrie and I are both big fans.
Yeah. And one more thing really quickly with that. It's a great gift too, right? If you want to start getting people involved in this lifestyle and say it's the most convenient way, if there's a mom that you know who needs to tend to boo-boos and aches and pains for kids, or earaches, tummy aches, sore throats, it's a phenomenal gift to give as well, because it really can wipe away pain very fast.
I love it. All right, check it out. Link is in the show notes. Yeah, the water, and people, there's somebody, I don't know who it is. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Making people think that they cannot take reverse osmosis or distilled water and then add minerals and structure that water. Making people believe they can't revitalize water, that it's dead and it's waste. I don't know who's doing that. Don't tell me.
But I don't either.
Please stop, whoever you are. Please stop doing that, because it's upsetting my people. And they're like, I have this reverse osmosis system and I just heard that it's dead water and I could never bring it back to life ever. And I'm like, incorrect.
Oh my goodness.
Then this person doesn't understand water. If they're saying that, they don't understand water.
Yeah. Or I don't know. I mean, I have so much contention with that.
It's upsetting people, because then they spend all this money.
Understandably so. Golly, people, I don't know. That's where you weigh like one person versus Anna Lemma is investing massive amount of research into showing that you can take water and revitalize it. So many other companies as well, like Natural Action Technologies, Water, the Wellness Enterprise, right? All these really great companies are MEA, Robert Over. That's just what are the metrics they're using to say it's still dead water?
Right. I don't know. Right.
Konstantin Karakov and his gas discharge visualization will say differently, because I've literally seen distilled water before and after an intention ceremony and massively increase in energy, which is a direct indication of how the water structures and holds that energy. So interesting. But you can find whatever information you want out
what
there.
Are they selling? What are they? Just tell me what's the product. That's what I say in my group now, because I heard well, what's the product?
That's a good point.
Please send me the link and unfollow. If that's how they're going to sell you something, by telling you something that's not true, to get you afraid, to get you to buy something, then don't do that.
That goes completely against my marketing.
Completely.
I'm so intrigued.
I'll have to find out where they're
what product. What is I don't know. But but that's the thing. You will find people who literally will disregard hundreds of research articles, maybe.
Right. And this is the thing, like, I truly care about who listens to what I say, because I don't know who these people are putting this stuff out there. You're not talking to the other people who are hearing what you're saying. You don't. And I learned that quickly when I was doing the carnivore diet and I was doing videos on YouTube. People are listening and they will copy everything that you say without question, because you're on the internet and because you have an audience, and they will just be like, wow, she knows everything. And you don't. Nobody does. And I learned that again 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I started doing this. 6 years, it was 6 years ago now, which is crazy. But I would talk to people. I would literally, and I still do. I now have an autoresponder on Instagram because I just can't grab everything. I have somebody that helps me with my emails because the email inbox is constantly flooded. And I just can't take it all on, honestly. But I hear how what I'm saying, what I'm doing is landing on people. And I, in my group, see how distraught these women are when they hear that the system they've just bought is dead water and it can never be saved, ever. And that makes me upset because I'm seeing literally their emotional anguish and distress over this. And I'm seeing the emotional anguish and distress over a cleaning product. It's like over these like things, because I think like 540 people in my membership group. And so you can imagine the types of posting we're getting all day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want people to be emotionally upset about these things. It's not worth like your emotional, I don't know. I don't know how to say that properly, but to lose it over that,
Oh,
there's
yeah. Yeah. Anything, again, anything that brings you into fear, hatred, anguish, anxiety is likely not the direction that your body is asking to go in.
no,
So
no,
even again, even if there's a kernel of truth or some truth, what's being said,
right.
I would go about seeking that in a different way. And
Yeah,
until then, it's just not worth it, in my opinion.
right. It's not.
I don't want to bury my head in the sand, but it serves no one to be in a
Yeah,
continuous state of fear and anxiety. No
no,
one.
no, it doesn't. And things require a full conversation.
They do.
That's more and more so what I'm learning with any advice. Like I have worked so hard on my leptin program, and I'm about to redo my whole nutrition program. Like I'm just like, I'm going to redo this whole thing because I want to make it better. The
Mhm.
old one's good. I've got a ton of great
Ah, it's
reviews.
great.
People love it, but I want to make it better. Why? I just do. And whoever already has it, you'll get all the updates because that's just how I roll. I'm not going to make you rebuy it. Um, but I'm learning a lot from my one-to-one clients that we got to tweak stuff, and I need to talk to you about your life. I need to talk to you about you're a homeschooling mom or you're retired and traveling with your husband. Two different plans,
Mhm.
maybe the same goal, but we have to approach this differently based on being a retiree and getting to travel and have leisure and fun versus being a homeschooling mom of 3 kids and
Right.
having zero time for yourself. It's a lot of times requires a conversation,
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, so even in my community, like, so one of the questions today was about exercise. Like, what's the perfect exercise? It's like
there
there's
is none.
an insane amount of nuance to this, and there is no perfect exercise. And that's what I hope. But that's what I hope to bring people is like that voice of, what do you like to do?
How can
What
I
can you
do
do
that?
outside? How much you want to push yourself? How strong do you feel you are? Do you want to build strength? I mean, there's so much nuance to this that
Yeah.
that's, yeah. I don't know. People who speak in absolutes, to me, it's also a red flag. It's
Oh,
like,
huge red flag. But people want this. They
I
want to
know
be
it's not my
told
style.
exactly what to do. Well, I don't want to be told what to do ever. Like, that's the first way to get me to walk the other way is if you're like telling me what to do. I'm like, bye. But a lot of people do because it's just like, okay, cool. Like I can just do this and I will be okay. Um,
And if someone does that, like let's say you're like, okay, I'm going to try this. And part of it works for you, great. Take the part that works. If part of it doesn't work for you, discard it. If it all doesn't work, don't blame yourself. Maybe it's just not the program for
for
you.
you, correct. Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the
you're
whole
right.
thing.
There is a lot of anxiety and confusion out there about
Yeah.
everything. And so
Yeah.
I don't know, Sarah, this is going to sound so stupid, but I just want people to develop a trusting intuition.
That's exactly what I was trying to get at, is that, and that's what I want. I'm doing this 20 person, actually cut it to 15 because after doing 15 one-to-ones, I was like, I can't do anymore. I cut it at 15, but I've got 15 in my group right now. And that's my wish for everyone in there. And I'm hoping they're kind of getting that, is that we're troubleshooting, we're playing, we're continually like looking at things, we're talking, we're having a lot of conversations, 2 Zoom meetings a week. And we have a group where we're talking in there too. So it's a lot of talking, but I don't want to just have you reliant upon needing to talk to me twice a week. I want the conversations that we are having to always put it back on you. How does this feel? How is this working for you? How did that impact your sleep? How did that impact your energy? How did this feel energetically for you? And then to start doing that in all aspects of your life and changing that as needed, because it's not always going to be you eat 90 grams of protein and 120 grams of fat and 70 grams of carbs, whatever. I'm just making crap up.
Sarah's throwing numbers out there. She's making stuff up.
I just totally made that up. That is nobody's macro split, by the way. But your body isn't always going to require this. You're going to need to learn how to change. And the way you understand how to change is, again, how do I feel? Like, do I feel low energy? How's my sleep? Does my sleep suck? Oh, I got to change something, those simple things like energy, sleep, and how you feel are
cravings,
hunger, like boom, there you go. That's how you know something has to shift. And of course, I'm there as the compass during the time that we're working together to give you ideas. Let's try this. Let's try this. But your list of things to try isn't going to be a mile long. I have a toolbox that we pull from, and I teach you how to create your own toolbox so that like, all right, maybe I need to pull this out. Because my winter routine and my summer routine are 2 separate things,
Totally. Oh, totally. Yeah. Speaking back of winter self-care, like the amount of red light therapy I'm currently doing is a ton.
Yeah. Right. I hardly do any in the summer, really.
And I don't have a ton of free time, but like if I have a free moment, I will be either in front of those panels, or I got from Kelly that her big old new mat one, like a sleeping bag one.
Ooh.
Glorious. It is glorious. But yeah, I mean, that's what my body craves, right? So, but that looks completely different. Like you said, if I in the summer I had 20 minutes, I'm not going to turn on my red light therapy.
Lay out in the sun in the yard. I'm grounding. I'm getting sunlight exposure. I don't need a panel.
And that just comes with me actually checking in with my body. Like, what do you need right now?
Want? Yeah.
What do you want? Yeah. What do you need? What sounds good?
Right.
Believe it or not, that helps, right? I mean, the body is, if you check in with your body will talk back to you.
Yeah. But like you were saying earlier, social media and this constant scrolling and the constant podcast listening, it teaches you how to not listen and how to outsource everything, how to be, oh God, I need to be afraid of this now. I need to be afraid of that. So it keeps you in this state of fear. It keeps you in this state of outsourcing, of not listening and just tuning out this inside voice. So that you're perpetually confused and thinking that you need to go somewhere else to feel better and not realizing it comes from here.
Totally. And the thing that I repeat to people is this is an N equals, when I talk about, like, people bring questions, I'll be like, this would be an N=1 that you could try.
Yes.
If you try this and you experience an improvement, that'll tell us something. If you try this and you, like you were saying, if you experience a negative effect to your sleep, your hunger, your energy, your cravings, your, any libido, right? Any of those types of things, then that would tell us another thing about that. That would maybe, so that's what it is. N=1. And if people aren't familiar, that's N equals is the phrase that they use for the number of participants in a research study. So they'll all, in their method section, they'll say N=200 or N=20 or N=20,000, right? But in actuality, we can't even take that and say that the results of a research study translates to everyone else. I don't think people realize when a conclusion is drawn in a research article, let's say there was 20,000 people in that research article, not everyone had the same results. There's so much what's called standard deviation, or people who were non-responders. or whatnot. And so like, that's why even with research, you can't say that this research shows that X, Y, and Z will happen if I do X, Y, and Z, because that didn't even happen in that study, right? There was there was a lot of variability in response. So you have to say, well, that's an interesting study, or that's an interesting podcast showing that deuterium depletion, or showing that, making this up, glycine supplementation does X. Let me test it out for myself.
Right. Do I see an impact? And that's what the patches, going back to those, I did a poll in my stories. Like after I first tried them, I was like, let me do a poll and just see what people think. And I would say I got 60% of people that were like, oh my God, these are so awesome. I love these. But then I hear 40% of people are like, I did nothing for me. Did zero for me.
Yeah.
Waste my money. And I'm like, okay, well, it's good to know. Some people, they are awesome, and some people, no effect,
Yeah. And there is something to be said also about anything that we talk about, duration.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I'm like. How long did you use them? Because some people need to use them. What I'm learning is like 3 to 6 months before they notice anything.
Yes. And in light stuff too, right? Like I have a new member, I believe, in my community, lovely, and we're making progress with small little bits of morning light, but we're talking about a location on the planet where the temperature is in the negatives currently. And so it's cold. And so, well, that might be making little bits of progress. The duration of time you want to spend outside in the morning for what your desired effect is might need to be drastically more than that. Right. And again, N equals 1. You're not doing it wrong per se right now. And there might not be anything you can do differently right now in terms of kind of just, pulsing in those little light bursts. But perhaps then when March, April, May comes, you'll be able to experiment with that. And there's your N equals 1. And how long? I don't know. In general, with light, some people respond in 3 days. Some people respond in 6 weeks. Depends on, there's a lot of variables there.
What's going on in their body, what kind of mitochondrial function they have, like what other stressors they have in their life. Like it's so many things, because people just want like a definitive protocol, a definitive answer.
Yes.
And it's so multifaceted. It's not go do keto and get 5 minutes of morning sunshine and you're going to be cured.
And everyone is perfect. Well, okay. So let's just kind of pool our years of clinical experience working with people. Would you say that if by the 3-month mark, someone is not noticing a benefit to something, likely that's not a modality that their body is currently asking for? Don't you say 3 months, even 2, maybe a little over 2 months. I'd say 3 months.
Yeah. 2 to 3 months, definitely. Yeah. And it's on the thing,
sure. Exactly.
With something like HCl and enzymes in particular, you should notice a difference pretty quickly.
Fairly quickly. Correct.
You don't need to wait that long. You should notice quickly,
Correct.
Diet. Yeah. I would give it about that time. If someone's done carnivore for 3 months and they just feel absolutely miserable, even after 3 months, I'm like, let's change it,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's all person by person, but you got to sometimes give things time to know if it's actually going to work. But with the patches, I would say, yeah.
It's something like that. Yeah. I just I'm not familiar enough. I'm excited to become more familiar with it to see what that looks like.
I gave them to my sister, who is like, basically thinks I'm insane. Because she just thinks I'm crazy. Both my sisters do. It's fine. But she was having really bad back pain and she's got to get ACL surgery, unfortunately. So I was like, just try these. And she called me 2 days later. She's like, can I get more of these? Like, I need them now. Like she's like, within 30 minutes, my back stopped hurting. I'm like,
wow.
Sure. Yeah. I would love to give you more. So that's somebody who's like uber skeptical. And I gave her a red light panel and she's like,
oh, well, that's the thing.
She won't use it. I gave her my Firestorm, which is like $1,000 panel. And she won't use it. I'm like, use this on your ACL.
Well, here's what's cool. And I know you've seen this too, so this isn't necessarily earth-shattering to you, but that's also why Sarah and I say start where things resonate with you.
Yes.
Because once you start where you're interested and you want to apply, because you likely will notice benefits if it's something that's going to support your body.
Yeah.
And then that's going to feed forward. And so I always find that if it's like I'm pushing back on something, it's like I don't want to. Maybe I ultimately need that, but that's not my entry point into it. I kind of have to go this route to get there as opposed to directly at it.
Yeah. I just got my holy hydrogen back from my mom because it was about to get damaged. She was just sitting there in the corner covered in stuff because my mom's a hoarder. And I was like, okay,
are you gonna try to give that to someone else to see?
I'm using it for water. I'm just making with it right now and drinking it because we're half the time someone's inhaling with the Axiom. So I'm like, I'm not going to use the diffuser. So I'm still using it to make water. Like this is all water with Quinton from the hydrogen machine.
Yeah.
So I had thought about giving it to somebody, but I don't know. We'll see.
Again, people have to know. You have to know the value of it.
If you give something to someone, I'm sure people that are listening have the same experience. Like you give a pair of really nice blue blockers to somebody and they're like, wow, I don't want to use these stupid things. Like you have to be interested in understanding why blue blockers would be a positive thing for your health, right? Like that's something you have to be bought into to use.
There is something to be said about a buy-in to something that people have to kind of buy into it. An investment. Yeah. Investing in their health. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why, I do a lot of free stuff. I have all my free ebooks, but the courses I do make people pay for those and it's not a lot. Like I probably charge one, not even a quarter less, like
very reasonable,
an eighth of what people charge for a comparable program. But I still think there needs to be an investment. Like my teacher, Light Watkins, my meditation teacher, his whole thing is like, you have to give like 1 week's salary to do the training. And that's going to look different for everybody. What 1 week's salary is for anybody, that's how much it costs.
Yep.
Because you have to be invested to want to learn this technique.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What else? Anything?
I think just this time of year, people are kind of wanting again to do something drastic. Thinking about you and I are talking about getting dumpsters. I think that's okay. Get rid of the stuff in your house. I am getting a dumpster.
Oh, I'm feeling the spring energy, right? The spring cleaning energy.
I'm feeling it. But with your health, like I still think it's a good idea to just take it easy and let yourself kind of stay in restorative mode. And don't feel guilty about it. Still don't feel guilty about it. And my biggest piece of advice is stop listening to people who give you a emotional, like fear response, anger response. Unfollow, like just don't. I even have to like block people, even though I'm like, I know they don't know who I am, but I don't want this to pop up in my algorithm anymore. So I'm going to like literally block this page. I don't ever want to see this again. Because I just don't need that. I don't need that energy in my life.
Uplifting and inspiring is my motto, and things that I want to listen to. They're just highly educational. Like I'm really digging. I'm nerding out on holograms. I'm trying to figure out how I can make my own hologram. So
I love it.
Not too controversial. It doesn't provide me with much fear or anything like that. So
amazing.
I know. Every once in a while, like my YouTube search history pops up to my kids and they're like, what are you doing? Like, you're making a hologram? Like, don't worry about it. It'll be okay. It'll be safe. I swear.
Amazing.
But yeah, and spring's around the corner and we're excited also to continue to share how we do maybe approach things differently come springtime because it is an opportunity, but not for punishment, but just for growth and for the journey.
Renewal. Yeah, absolutely. I know I'll be on the ground laying down a lot. Soaking it up. Yes.
Totally.
Amazing. Well, maybe next week we'll have a more coherent
conversation.
Yeah, but hopefully everyone enjoyed that. And we'll see you guys next week.